Not too long ago, there was a report from an NHL.com writer, David Satriano, that basically said that the New York Rangers, one of the top prospects, you'd argue he is the top prospect, Brennan Othmann, has a very good chance pretty much at possibly making this upcoming New York Rangers roster right at a training camp there to make the NHL team. So in today's video, I figured we take a look at kind of my reasons why I think Brennan Othmann should make this team right at a training camp. So starting off here, let's take a look at the article from David Satriano of NHL.com. He says, quote, the number 16 pick in the 2021 NHL draft, being Brennan Othmann, he has a good chance to make the opening night roster. And that is a good sign there. Obviously, he's not confirming it, but he probably has some kind of a source there that makes him seem to think that Brennan Othmann has a pretty good chance there to potentially make this roster right out of training camp, which is a good sign there. I think this is a guy who is NHL ready. He had a pretty good season down there in the AHL with the Hartford Wolfpack as a rookie, has been a very dominant player in the OHL for multiple seasons there with the Flint Firebirds, as well as with the Peterborough Petes, where he ended up winning the OHL championship, going on to the Memorial Cup final, where they didn't win the whole thing, but still had a great run there. He was the leading scorer on the Peterborough Petes in that playoff run there to win the OHL championship, going up against a very good London Knights team in the finals as well. So this is a guy who has been there, done that at multiple different levels. He's won U18 gold. He's got 2 U20 golds there for Team Canada. He's also won the OHL championship there, winning that whole thing. He's been an all-star there, first team, all that kind of stuff there. Been a very good player in the OHL, and also even won the whole entire thing, the OHL Cup, back in his minor hockey days as well with the Don Mills Flyers. So this is a guy who has been a pretty much winner at every single level he's been at. He's a proven winner there, which is great to see. He's also a guy who can play left and or right wing as well, which is very important there to have that versatility. He can play on that possibly, second line alongside guys like Kreider and Zibanejad, potentially on the right wing there. We have a guy like Riley Smith down to the third line, which I don't think will happen, but it's definitely a possibility. Going on to the season as well, if Riley Smith gets hurt, he's a guy going to jump up from that third line, more than likely will start, up to that second line there to kind of help provide kind of a filler for a guy like Riley. So having a guy who can play left and right wing is definitely a nice thing to have. Othman is also a very solid kind of guy who could be a nice add there for that second power play unit. He's got a very good one-timer there. Definitely a really good all-around kind of offensive threat, but the one-timer he has can be very, very lethal at moments. So throwing him on that power play 2 unit for the first couple years at the NHL level would not be a bad thing. Eventually, I think he can be a guy to go on that power play 1, but for right now, I think he'd be fine going on that power play 2 unit there, getting obviously a limited amount of ice time because we don't see that power play 2 unit used a ton, but still going out there, getting that experience in the power play there, possibly get a couple goals done the PP would not be a bad thing at all, and definitely has that kind of a shot to go up there and be a very lethal threat there on the power play as well with that one-timer. He also is a pretty solid kind of defensive forward as well, especially for a young winger there. In his last season in the OHL, I'm a Peterborough Petes fan, so I watched him a lot there. Once he got traded over to the Peterborough Petes, he ended up really kind of reining in his all-around game there and tried to become a much better kind of all-around player. That's what the coach kind of wanted him to do there. Rob Wilson ended up working out quite well there, where he really kind of worked on his all-around game, being better defensively, not just kind of worrying about the offense like he did kind of with the Flint Firebirds there. Really worked on his all-around game there, got a lot better defensively, and that definitely showed in his first year with the Hartford Wolfpack, which is a good thing there. Some young guys could definitely go to the NHL there and be a bit of a liability at moments defensively. This is not going to be one of those guys. He's not going to be a penalty killer out there on the ice in the NHL, but he's going to be a decent and non-liability defensive winger, which is not bad at all. That's kind of a good thing there. A guy like Panarin there can be a liability at moments defensively. A guy like Othman there is not going to be that kind of, not great defensively. He's going to be a solid defensive guy, but not a great one at that. He also brings some much needed, physicality, grit, toughness, definitely plays with an edge to his game there. Plays with quite high energy as well, which is quite nice, but he also is a guy who can get under the other team's skin as well at moments, be physical. He'll play with that kind of grit and high energy, which is definitely a nice thing to have out there on the ice for this Rangers team. So I think overall, he's going to be a nice add in that sense as well. Not just being good offensive threat there on that third line possibly, or a really solid kind of just not liability defensively. He's going to bring that physicality, the high energy, that kind of edge that's bringing into his game that we definitely could use more of on this Rangers team. And I do think he would be a great add on that third line there, possibly alongside guys like Filipino and Capo. Kako now, because he can play on the right side, though, he is a guy who would go on the right side there on the right wing spot on the third line. Heedle as a center, and possibly have a guy like Will Cooley potentially as a left winger, or maybe even a guy like Brett Berard at moments as well. If injuries happen or a trade happens there where Kako's going out, maybe a guy like Brett Berard also gets a chance as well. I'm not quite sure whether a guy like Peter Laviolette would want two rookies on the exact same line there on that third line for the Rangers. It's a possibility, but I'm not quite sure he'd want that happen. But if it would happen, I think a line of Brett Berard, Heedle, and Othman could be decent there. They wouldn't be the best to start off, but it wouldn't be a bad kind of youth line there, a kid line as well. So if we do see kind of a new kid line like that, or possibly just see Othman alongside guys like Heedle or Kako, or possibly a guy like Will Cooley goes on that third line left wing spot there. Heedle as a center, Othman as that right winger would not be a bad line either. So can provide some great kind of depth scoring while playing physically, being a decent defensive guy as well. Could be a really kind of solid player on that third line, or possibly playing alongside guys like Kreider and Zibanejad on that right wing spot, which I think Riley Smith is probably going to get that spot there, but still could be a great third liner for this team. He also is going to be a very cheap contract for the next few seasons, even after his entry-level contract is up there. He's still going to be a guy signing for, I would guess, quite low kind of AAV, which is definitely going to be a nice thing for this team. We know we're not in the best spot cap-wise right now, so having a very cheap kind of top-9 caliber forward in Brennan Othmann will be a very important thing for the coming years as well, alongside guys like Adam Edstrom, Brett Berard, Matt Rempe. Obviously, Rempe is never going to get a massive contract, more than likely, but still, guys like Brett Berard especially can be a solid, really solid kind of top 6, possibly kind of forward, while being on a very cheap contract for the coming years as well. So I think overall, Othman is a guy who I want and think he should be on this New York Rangers team right out of training camp there. Hopefully gets a couple preseason games there, I'd imagine. Hopefully plays well, proves to Peter Laviolette that he deserves a spot on this team, and ends up making the roster, which I think would be a very beneficial thing for this team. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for a ton more New York Rangers content. I post every single day, so if you are a New York Rangers fan, there's no better place to be on YouTube than this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next one, but also don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on Brennan Othmann, arguably the New York Rangers top prospect. It's him or Gabe Perreault, but let me know your thoughts on Othmann there. Do you think he should make this team right at a training camp there? Who do you want to see him play alongside? Guys like maybe, Heedle and Kako, or Cooley and Heedle? Let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.